Welcome, everyone. This is our second annual 3-minute thesis competition for the College of Education, Health, and Human Development. Thank you for joining us. Does anyone not actually mean to come here, but the wind blew you over here? That's how I felt. I haven't quite recovered yet. We are going to hear from 7 graduate students who have worked very hard to distill years of hard work into a 3-minute synopsis for your understanding and enjoyment. So we thank them for their commitment. We're going to hear about some of my favorite topics today. Identity formation, mentoring, food product development and cooking skills, lentils. You guys know how I feel about lentils. Gut bacteria, and then napping. That's one of my favorite topics. I want to thank Mary Miles, Associate Dean Mary Miles, for conceptualizing this and organizing this. I want to thank Becky Stanton for putting her event magic in. And then if y'all need to turn around and wave hello and say thank you to Bill Freeze for being our video guy. Thanks, Bill. Let me now just turn it over to Mary Miles so she can explain how this event works.
Thank you. So 3-minute thesis is a global phenomenon taking place at hundreds of universities and dozens of nations to celebrate research conducted by graduate students. It was developed and copyrighted by the University of Queensland in Australia for the purposes of cultivating communication skills in students. The competition forces students to effectively explain their research and its significance in 3 minutes and in a language appropriate to a non-specialist audience. Now, there are a lot of rules. However, what you really need to know, and the biggest and most important of these, are that each contestant, each competitor, that's the word, can only have 1 static slide and 3 minutes. No poems, no dancing, no rapping, etc. We will. Okay, so for the judging criteria, there are several things, but what you really need to do is to have a big picture sense of the judging criteria, because each and every one of you will have the opportunity to cast your vote to select a People's Choice winner for today's event. So as you watch each of these presentations, please ask yourself, does the presentation provide an understanding of the background and significance to the research question being addressed while explaining terminology and jargon? Does the presentation clearly describe the impact and/or results of the research? Does it follow a clear and logical sequence? Does the presenter communicate in a language appropriate to you? Do you want to know more? Did the presenter avoid trivializing and generalizing their research? And did the presenter capture and maintain your attention? So in brief, you're really just trying to figure out, did the presenter share their work in a way that you could understand and was compelling to you? So if you want to have a piece of paper and jot some notes, great, but not required. So our prizes for today, all of the presenters today are finalists, so they will all receive prizes, but the 3 main prizes that we're awarding today are for a winner, a runner-up, and, as you all get to choose, the People's Choice Award. The winner and the runner-up will also get to present at the university-wide 3-minute thesis contest on April 29th at 4 o'clock. So there's a double win if you win. But we are providing these prizes for our winners and runners-up. These vegan leather bags over here, they're super cool. Gift certificates and EHHD swag. We're good at swag in this college. Okay, the judges for this event, I have 2 judges from outside our college, Marianne Hansen from the library and Nika Stoop from Center for Faculty Excellence. And then 1 judge from each department, and neither of these judges has any connection, well, I shouldn't say any connection, but no substantive connection to any of the participants in either department. So those judges are Mark Schur and Joe Hicks. And while I'm plugging things, Mark Schur will also be delivering a provost lecture tomorrow night, and so I'm like doubly amazed that he agreed to do this, because that's a big deal. For those of you who don't know, a provost lecture is quite an honor, and we're really proud of you, Mark. So judge today well, and we'll all show up tomorrow. Okay, so graduate students play a pivotal role in our research, and the group that you are about to see are not only exceptional and courageous for taking this 3-minute challenge on, but their presentations exemplify the diversity of and impact done by research done by faculty, students and staff in the College of EHHD. So the presentations today demonstrate how we as a college are doing research to improve health and well-being, to help students and teachers, and to support agriculture in Montana and beyond. So with that, quick note. So with that, I am officially opening the College of EHHD 3-minute Thesis 22 competition. Our first presenter is Margaret Konkel from the Department of Education. Her advisor is Ann Eubank. The title for her presentation is A Model for Creativity, Identity Formation in the First Year Experience. And Meg is taking a job in another state and cannot be here today, but she will be here should she win for the university-wide competition. So please view her video and rate accordingly, and then everyone else is here in person. But we have one, and this presenter is as eligible to win as any of the others and really did an amazing job. So please, Meg Konkel.
In thousands of colleges across the country, millions of first-year students are grappling with identity formation, and first-year seminars are the perfect environment to assist those emerging adults with big questions about who they are and who they want to become. Identity formation is inherently a creative act, but often colleges struggle to provide a platform for rich exploration of creativity in their first-year experience. The model for creative identity formation shown here provides a roadmap for doing so. In this study, I look to 3 institutions which infuse design thinking, which is a form of creative problem solving that incorporates empathic engagement with human problems to shape innovative solutions, into first-year seminars. The model demonstrates the connections between course design, learning outcomes, identity formation, and ideas around creativity. I'll give you an example. The first-year seminar at Design Justice University, in the green ring in the model, uses design thinking to engage in social justice challenges through community service projects. Openness to new ideas was a central outcome of the students' introduction to design thinking and social justice. They credited the seminar for helping them understand and appreciate diverse perspectives, in large part due to the eye-opening nature of the course. They also talked about confidence gained and an awareness of their responsibilities to community and campus. These learning outcomes directly shaped their understanding of creativity. They talked about creativity as flexibility of thought, agency of voice and ideas, authenticity of self, and delight in the unpredictability of the creative process. The linkage between course design, application of design thinking, understanding of creativity, and location of self within that understanding of creativity can be seen similarly with Design Thinking University in the blue ring in the model and Design Identity University in the orange ring. What's really interesting, though, is that even with considerable differences in how each of the first-year courses was designed, how they used design thinking and for what purpose, there's a lot of overlap in how students understand and see themselves in their idea of creativity. The model for creative identity formation can therefore be a guide for educators in making decisions about course design in order to encourage learning outcomes that foster creative identity development. Using design thinking in first-year seminars can support college students in discovering who they are and who they want to become as a result of their college experience.
Okay, so after each one, we'll just have a very short break so the judges can make a note or two, and then I'll introduce the next presenter. Kind of eyeballing the judges to get a sense of this time. All right. So our second presenter is Sumedha Garg from the Department of Department of Health and Human Development. Her graduate advisor is Untitled Chapter. The title of her presentation is Participatory Action Research to Co-Create a Design Thinking Product Development Toolkit with Berry Growers. Sumedha? You'll stay here.
Agriculture is Montana's leading industry. Yet, out of the 27,048 farms in Montana, only 1% are engaged in value-added agriculture. But exactly what is value-added agriculture and why should we think about it? Well, the term value-added agriculture involves making small modifications to the product so that the end product can be marketed at a higher price. For example, it can be making jam out of blueberries. Making such small changes to the raw commodity itself ultimately works to enhance the true value of the crop. This way, not only can farmers derive a better profit from their produce, but it also allows them to compete in a highly competitive market space. But why is it that only 1% of growers are involved in this value-add agriculture approach? Do they all not wish to compete in this bigger market share? Well, we surveyed cold-hardy small fruit and berry growers to find out that they lack the infrastructure and support to carry out these product development activities in their own capability. We use principles of design thinking to co-create a toolkit. Now, this toolkit has 5 stages. Firstly, creating a partnership between students and growers. This way, we can empathize and define with the growers' needs. Next, we want to ideate a product based on on-farm feasibility and addressing to market demand. Third, we want to prototype product recipes to evaluate them for food safety and quality. Fourth, test the product with consumers to evaluate for overall acceptance. And finally, number 5, scale the product up, get it market ready, and get our community engaged. So now we want to co-create this toolkit by presenting this to the berry growers so we can seek their feedback. You will notice that there's iterative cycles between some of these stages. This showcases the non-linear approach that we will take on board. You will also notice the input and output from both students and growers. This shows that the participatory action research methodology of engaging both researchers and non-researchers to establish a social change. Ultimately, what this toolkit endeavors to do is build on local food system resiliency so that we can have more value-added products within our local society. Thank you.
Our next presenter will be Stephanie Wilson from the Department of Health and Human Development. Graduate advisor is Mary Miles. She's awesome. The title of her presentation is You Are What You Eat, the Intersection of Diet, Health, and Your Gut Bacteria.
Did you know that for every human cell in your body, you have 1 microbial cell? Indeed, we host trillions of microorganisms, and our gut specifically has a thriving bacterial community which breaks down food and in that process produces beneficial compounds. Our gut microbes are highly unique to us and were shaped across a lifetime of influences, including lifestyle behaviors such as diet. My work as a PhD student has delved into how our bodies metabolize food and early risk factors in chronic disease, such as inflammation. Diets are complex and people are complicated. People can eat the same meal and have widely different responses in their blood. We know gut bacteria can help us process food and that they're unique to us. So is it possible that our gut bacteria can actually play a part in why we respond so differently to the foods that we eat? This is the question that I have researched through a blend of human and mouse study. Human stool samples contain gut bacteria, and it can be introduced to germ-free mice which have no bacteria at all. When that happens, the mouse can actually take on characteristics similar to that of the human donor. The process of humanizing mice is a common experimental approach that we can use to reduce the variability of gut bacteria and control diet and make translations back to human health. In our research, we transferred stool from 2 human stool donors with low or high inflammation in the blood into germ-free mice. The second generation of these mice had gut bacteria that were very similar to their human donors, with low donor mice displaying a higher diversity of bacteria, which we think of as a good thing. Next, we gave mice from both groups an antioxidant-rich juice or placebo juice to test the impact on their gut microbes and their metabolism. We observed donor-specific changes, and we also observed juice-specific changes. Next, what if we introduced an inflammatory dietary stimulus to really understand how that antioxidant-rich juice impacts the mice? The benefit of antioxidants is that they can counter inflammatory stimuli. We provided a high-fat diet rich in sugar and fat to induce inflammation and obesity, which we can't actually do in people, by the way, for ethical reasons. Something that we have observed is that your blood metabolites and gut bacteria change a lot in response to a high-fat diet. We saw this in the mice. We saw donor-specific changes. Mice that had a low donor microbiome had a more beneficial response to the juice than other mice did. We also saw juice-specific changes, lots of anti-inflammatory compounds in the blood. From this, it does appear that your gut bacteria play a role in how you respond to diet. In the face of a big microbial stress, your bacteria may be hurting or helping you by responding differently to the foods that you eat. Thank you.
Our next presenter will be Jennifer Nicevski from the Department of Health and Human Development. Her graduate advisor is Jason Carter. And the title of her presentation is Afternoon Napping Does Not Impact Autonomic Function in Healthy Adults.
Okay, hi everyone. My name's Jenny. I'm a master's student in the EHHD department with the Sleep Research Lab on campus. Briefly, the picture on that top left is how we set up our participants to sleep in the lab, and yes, they actually do sleep with all the stuff on them. A brief introduction on sleep. So around 35% of adults in the US report sleeping under 7 hours a night. And getting a proper amount of sleep is super important to help regulate heart rate and blood pressure, and the proper amount of sleep is to get around 7 to 9 hours a night for adults. And if you do not receive this proper amount of sleep, it is associated with cardiovascular disease, depression, obesity, and other poor outcomes. So there's a lot known about nighttime sleep and how this can affect individuals. There is less known on how daytime sleep or napping can affect people and help regulate their heart rate and blood pressure. So this is why we took participants, and we wanted to assess their cardiovascular function after either a no nap or afternoon nap condition. So we took 15 participants and we put them in a randomized crossover design where they would either have the control no nap condition or the 90-minute afternoon nap condition first. So for that 90-minute nap condition, they would come into the lab, take their nap in one of our laboratory bedrooms, and then we would take their blood pressure, heart rate, and heart rate variability measures post-nap. They then had at least a one-day washout and then came back into the lab and completed the opposite protocol from the first one they completed. So if you take a look at the figures on the right, on the y-axis we have average resting heart rate on the top, and on the bottom we have mean arterial pressure. On the x-axis we have control in the black, which is the no nap condition, and on the right we have, on the gray, the napping condition. And as you can see, both of these measurements, when comparing that no nap condition to the afternoon nap condition, we did not find anything statistically significant. We also ran other heart rate variability measurements and found that these measures were also non-significant. So this is a preliminary study to see how wake, heart rate variability, heart rate, and blood pressure could have been affected by an afternoon daytime nap. We want to look further into the study and see how stage-specific sleep throughout this afternoon nap could be more beneficial to individuals. So if they spend more time in that slow wave sleep, deep restorative sleep, maybe that could be more beneficial to individuals after they wake up post this afternoon nap. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Barbara Du Amaral from the Department of Education. Her graduate advisor is Bryce Hughes. And the title of her presentation is Mentoring and Doctoral Students' Help-Seeking Behavior.
Doctoral student attrition is a concern for institutions of higher education, and the completion rate is between 40 to 60%, depending on the field of study. The impact on the student who leaves the program is far more serious than what the institution will experience. The feeling is devastating when you leave a program. Feelings associated with failure and not thinking that you are competent in the field that you are studying. You can also feel depression. Now, doctoral students are definitely in a program where a high level of commitment and rigor is necessary. What arises during the program are challenges, academic and personal challenges that can become barriers to the success. I conducted a correlational study to look at relationships between academic mentoring and the students' help-seeking behavior. In this study, I framed it in self-determination theory, which says that everyone has a need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness. I also included self-regulation learning, and that is a model that says that help-seeking is necessary for the success of graduate studies. The correlational study showed us that there were two significant predictors. One being that mentor support, the extent to which a student perceived mentor support predicted the likelihood that a student would exhibit adaptive help-seeking. And the other predictor was that students whose satisfaction with their competence they were more likely not to exhibit maladaptive help-seeking behavior. So what this means to us as doctoral students is that we need mentors who support us and who give us the type of support that we need, which is that we have the technical help and that we have the skills presented to us to help us complete our research. Thank you.
Where did Edwin go? Oh, sorry. Our next presentation will be by Edwin Allan from the Department of Health and Human Development. His graduate advisor is Yuan Kuhl, and the title of his presentation is Send All the Lentils Away?
Growing up in Ghana, I learned of the ancient Ashanti Empire and how they protected their gold from the early Europeans. Why am I talking about Ashantis and protecting gold? Well, Montana leads the nation in lentil production with over 1.6 million acres produced each year. So many lentils that lentils are labeled as the gems of the treasure state. But are we protecting our gems? Are we fully utilizing our lentils, or are we occasionally having lentil stew for dinner? No, we are not. We are not protecting our gems. 90% of lentils produced are exported to distant countries. And you might say, hey, what's wrong with exporting lentils? We make money from them anyway. Well, think of it this way. Would you rather have a pound of flour or a pound of bread? And what costs more, a pound of flour or a pound of bread? Definitely a pound of bread. We rob ourselves and our lentil farmers anytime we export lentils without adding value. Also, think of the environment. Think of the greenhouse gases produced by exporting lentils to distant countries by ship or plane. So what's the way forward? What can we do with our lentils locally? Well, we can mill our lentils into lentil flour, and from lentil flour, we can make lentil crackers. That's a step in the right direction. What more can we do? We can concentrate our lentil flour into lentil starch and lentil protein. And that's where it gets interesting, because that's where my research comes in. My research uses a twin screw extruder to make lentil puffs and pasta from lentil starch, and uses lentil protein to make texturized vegetable protein, which is used to make vegan meat alternatives. What is a twin screw extruder? And how do I make lentil puffs and pasta and texturized vegetable protein? A twin screw extruder is a machine that uses two co-rotating screws moving at high speeds to generate heat and pressure in a confined barrel. So after we concentrate our lentil flour into lentil starch and protein, we can feed our lentil starch into the extruder, and moving at lower speeds, we can mix our starch with water to form a dough, knead the dough, and then make pasta. At higher speeds, we can expand the starch into puffs. For our lentil protein, we can move our screws at higher speeds and generate enough pressure and heat to break our protein bonds, which give us a chewy, meaty texture when those proteins cool down and new bonds are formed. This is one way to add value to lentils. This is one way to keep lentils local and potentially make some real money for farmers. Let's continue to innovate. How else can we use lentils in Montana? How else do we protect the gems of our treasure state? Or do we send all the lentils away? Thank you.
Okay, our final presenter is Marcy Gaston from the Department of Health and Human Development. Her graduate advisor is Mitch Vaterlos. And the title of her presentation is How Do They Feel About Cooking? Perceptions and Status of Cooking and Food Skills Among Young Adults. And I'll also, in case you notice that she is dressed as a chef, she is actually coming over here from cooking for one of the classes where they're running a restaurant. So just a special thank you to Marcy for making this work on this day when also a defense is coming this week as well. So.
Hi, my name is Marcy Gaston, and I am a PhD candidate in American Studies here at MSU. For my dissertation, I researched college students and their perceptions of cooking. Shocking, I know. Before I begin, I'd like each of you to think for a moment on where you learned how to cook. Or did you even learn? Because that's equally important. If you learned, who taught you, and what kinds of skills did they teach you? These are some of the questions I asked college students in a survey and interview. I really wanted to know their perceptions of cooking and how we should best teach them to do this valuable skill. I also surveyed registered dietitians and family consumer science on their take on young adults and cooking. But why study this? Well, in case you didn't know, there's a decline of cooking among Americans in this country. The result of this means that we have an over-reliance on processed foods. And because of this over-reliance on processed foods, which are full of sugar, salt, and fats, we now have increases in chronic-related diseases, diet-related chronic disease. For my research, this is what I found. Students understand it. They get it. They understand the health benefits of cooking, but they are overwhelmed. They don't have the time to do it. They may not have the financial resources to do it. They may not even have a kitchen to cook in. They learn mainly from their parents, from their moms mostly. Some were self-taught. Some of them used YouTube and TikTok videos or read online recipes to teach themselves how to cook. What do they want? They want hands-on cooking classes. All of them, not just the ones in my program. They want straightforward cooking videos. Think TikTok, 3-minute, that's it. That's all they have time for. They want an emphasis on cheap, budget-friendly meals, things that they can make quickly. And the ideal age we should be teaching them is when they're young, and their first teachers should be their parents. And then family consumer science teachers can actually come in middle school and high school to help them out even more. But why? Why should we even be doing this when we have a world of convenience out there for us? Well, there's a social connectedness that our participants figured out. They liked cooking with others, they like eating with others. They just need guidance on how to get there and to lead a healthy adult life. Thank you.
Actually, I should note that I believe 4 of our 7 presenters are defending dissertations in the next couple of weeks here. So good luck to all of you. Hopefully this day was helpful in the preparation. A couple things are going to happen now. One is our 4 judges are going to get together and choose their winner and their runner-up. And all of you, if you can see the QR code there, can point your phones at that. And we'll take about a 10-minute break, come back up, get more food, sit and enjoy, and as soon as we can, we'll have announce winner, runner-up, and People's Choice Awards. So don't go away. All right, everyone. Oh.
I don't know if this is going to sway judgment. I want to make sure that that's received.
All right, there were lots of votes spread across a lot of these. It's very close. But our winners are, so the People's Choice Award goes to Jennifer Nicevski. I can't say the next one till the appropriate slide is up. And the runner-up. And the runner-up is Sumedha Garg. And our 2022 College of EHHD winner is Edwin Allan. I'm glad I was not a judge. These were all pretty fantastic. So before people leave, one, please take extra food with you to support your lab groups and graduate students wherever they might be. But also we'd like all of the finalists to come up for a picture and to get your certificates and your awards. And I think with that, thank you all very much. Thanks again to Becky Stanton for setting this up. It turns out this time of the semester I am not at my best, and we'd be in a big hurt were it not for her. Thank you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to the College of EHHD for supporting the prizes, and all of you for attending. And all of you who are graduate students, I know there's a lot of doctoral students out there. I'm looking forward to your 3-minute theses next year. But also, and a plug for the university-wide 3MT, April 29th at 4 o'clock at the Procrastinator Theater. So come see how Edwin and Sumedha do in the finals. Okay, so all the finalists, please come up.
Everybody.